Hey everybody, JJ here, back again with another Wednesday of Zoom Networking. Our guest speaker today is just an amazing young man. He's the accountability leader for Southern California's creative finance group for Sub 2. Helps a lot of people, is extremely experienced, and brings a ton of value every single day. I'd like to introduce our guest speaker, Steve Anderson. Steve, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing good, JJ. How you doing, brother?
I'm great, man. I'm great. We've had the pleasure to meet in person, and we have to make that happen more often. Hopefully, this
Yes.
coming Charger season for sure.
Yeah, probably
Um,
charger game mix.
so, for those that don't know you, where in the country are you located?
I'm in San Diego, California.
Beautiful country down there.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Just picturesque weather. Um,
Yeah, it's not. It's been raining though. I don't know if anyone here is in San Diego, but we've had some rain dumping lately, but it's not that bad.
we met through Sub 2. We're going to talk today about creative finance or buying creatively with seller's assistance.
Hmm.
What the our topic is today. And you and I met through Pace Morby Sub 2 community, which is about creative finance. Um, I wanted to ask a little bit about your background before you got into real estate investment. Have you always been around it? Like, was mom an agent and dad a contractor, or were you doing something else from your teens in your 20s?
Yeah, no, absolutely not. Yeah, I did not come from this background. Um, I didn't even come from a long line of entrepreneurs. All right, so basic. Just to keep it quick, I don't want to bore you guys, but typically, came from a family of employees, single family raised, household. Entrepreneurial spirit came from one of my uncles, actually. So I've been working since I was very, very young. I started working when I was about 10. I was landscaping
Wow.
back then, actually here in San Diego, right? Yeah. So it was killer. I got my taste of money and I just never went back. I was making 80, 100 bucks a day as a 10-year-old, right?
Wow.
So those trips to Ice Cream Man were way different than most people. And then as soon as I got done landscaping, I was actually a caterer when I was 12. I used to man these large grills, stuff like that. Anyways, I got caught for working under the table, almost got into some trouble, and I kind of I got laid off. So, and I had nobody would hire me anymore. I couldn't find any jobs because they're like, "Who's this 13-year-old kid?" You know, what do what the hell? So I started my own landscaping company when I was 13. Now, was it full on architect landscape design? No. I was like, mowing lawns. I actually had maybe about 50 accounts in my neighborhood for mowing lawns and, trimming bushes, stuff like that. Anyways, turned old enough to get a job. And I finally started working for a company called MCI. So I don't know if who's old enough in here, because I'm still super young, but, when long distance phone calling came out, MCI was a phone company, guys, and I started selling long distance phone calling packages. Right, I started doing sales, and I was killing it. Guys, I would do this after school. Right, I'd work from 4 to 9 after school. I was bringing in 10, 15K a month. Right, so then I got good enough, started training their program. So you had this like 16-year-old kid training all these people on how to sell. Anyways, that's the first corporate acquisition that I was a part of. I was able to see Verizon purchase MCI, and I got laid off. Now I was part-time, so there's no severance package. There's nothing, right? Just told me to kick rocks. Went back in. I couldn't find anywhere to make that much money anymore. All right. So segue into, I mean, granted, guys, this is going to go down a wormhole a bit. I had a bunch of different sales jobs after that for commission only. I was a tattoo artist for a while until I landed my home in the beer industry. So, if any of you guys that drink beer, if
Wow.
you've ever heard of a company called Ballast Point Brewing in San Diego, which is the one with the fish on the beer label, right? That's how I usually tell folks. I was actually an executive. I was a senior brewer for that brewery for quite some time. And then towards the end of my career there as an executive, I started a barrel aged beer program for them, which expanded over to 5,000 oak barrels. Right. So, uh,
Man,
yep. So, second corporate acquisition, they got bought out. I got laid off again.
again.
And then I started saying, well, what the F? Like, no, I was there for over 10 years. How am I going to make as much money as I was making? What am I going to do, guys? Right. So, I'm on
How
vacation.
old are you at this point?
I was 20.
20.
Yeah. Oh,
How
sorry,
you
20 when I got there. right? And then when
Wow.
I left, 19 when I got there, 20. And then when I left, I was 30, right? 31. So next thing you know, I'm like, what am I going to do? I can't, I'm used to making this much money, like, and no other brewery is going to hire me anymore unless I have to leave San Diego. Got job offers from Sierra Nevada, Lagunitas, but they want me to move out of state. And I told them I'm not leaving San Diego.
Yeah.
So long story short, segued into oak barrels. I owned an oak brokerage after that. I started an oak company selling oak barrels around the world. Singapore, Japan, Jamaica. I was shipping containers all over the world, and it was working, guys. I was working 4 hours a week and making at least maybe 400 or 500 a year. Um, and so I was having a great time, living a great life. But then after a while, what happens, just like probably some people can resonate with me here, you start getting comfortable, right? And what happens when you get comfortable? You get effed, right? You get screwed.
Yeah.
What you're used to doing, and you get too comfortable. You get lazy, right? Yeah, there you go, Mark. You get lazy. So I started saying, "Oh my God, well, this company was not built to last. It was built out of survival because I got laid off. So is this going to be a company I turn into this multi-million dollar empire and give to my kid? No, no. It was just to make cash. So I had a lot of downtime, right? So instead of going to smoke cigars and eat lunch and catching buzzes in the middle of the week whenever I wanted, I started studying, right? So I said, you know what? I want to be in real estate because I know it lasts, right? So it's either, you have real estate, you have energy, you have agriculture, right? Some of the biggest sectors out there that last, right? They last long term. So I said, let's go for real estate. Let's see what I can do. And I started studying, right? YouTube University. You remember that guy, that wholesaler, Sean Terry? Does everyone here know who Sean
No.
Terry is? So old school. If you guys YouTube Sean Terry, you're gonna crack up because he sounds like a cartoon character, right? Like he's from Futurama or something. But he's a wholesaler, and I knew that I wanted to be in real estate, but I'm not an agent. I don't want to be a buyer's agent. I didn't even know the difference at the time between a buyer's agent and a listing agent, right? But I knew I didn't want to be that. I was like, I don't want to take other people to go look at their house, dream houses. So I knew I didn't want to do that. I was like, and then I originally got into commercial. I started trying to wholesale commercial real estate. And then it inevitably led me down a pathway of saying like, hey, how can I get these properties faster? How can I buy my own properties? I don't have $1 million in the bank, actually 10 million because we're in San Diego. Can't do anything with $1 million down here.
Hmm.
And then that's where this guy started popping up in my feed out of nowhere. His name was Pace Morby, right? Now, Pace at the time, there is no brand, right? Not a big brand at all. And we fed into it and said, okay, creative finance, let's do it. And we hopped into his program in 2020, and we were one of the first, I think maybe one of the first 50 or 30 students
Hmm.
to hop in with Pace, and then took off ever since. So
So,
that's my life in a quick nutshell, guys. Hopefully that didn't bore you.
yeah. No, your
Yeah,
your your background is amazing, brother. I mean,
interesting.
starting at 10 and having all that activity as a young person, that's amazing. And I can definitely see how getting you set at a young age, you're not gonna want to back out of that either.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you're just amazing, man. Um, so you've been substitute for how many years now? It's like what, four
It's
or
it's
five?
it's it started. Yeah. So May of 2020.
Well, yeah, five years, going on 5 years.
Hmm.
And you become one of the accountability leaders for Southern California to the point now where you've actually initially there was just Northern Cal and Southern Cal with like Fresno to San Diego, but they've as it's grown and grown and grown, they've have bigger satellites, and now you're the accountability leader for the San Diego area. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct. There's three of us for SoCal, right? Me, Mitch, and Rich. Yeah, and I was appointed about I think almost a year ago now.
Good
Mhm.
for you. So you guys, for the sub two students watching, you guys have meetups, and there's a way people can connect with you, and we'll talk about that afterwards. The best way to reach out to you
Cool.
if they want to get on any of your activities over there. Um,
Awesome.
your topic today is buying creatively sellers assistance. For those that don't know, those that do know Pace know all about creative finance. But for people that are watching on YouTube now for the first time and are curious about creative finance, what is creative finance and what does it mean to buy creatively? And in this particular sense, buying creative with seller's assistance. What does that mean?
Yeah. So creative finance, very vague term, guys. You can use creative finance to structure any type of deals you want. It doesn't even have to be real estate. I can seller finance my iPad to somebody. Okay. You can do whatever you want. But it doesn't just have to be real estate. It can be business. It can be any item you want, cars. It's just, in my eyes, creative finance is the act of creating a alternate route of purchase, right? So you don't have to go get a mortgage to buy a house anymore. You don't have to go have somebody lend you hard money to get a house anymore if you don't need it, right? And then as far as using it for seller's assistance, right? So that's what I think creative finance is, if I had to give a vague description of it. And as far as seller's assistance goes, guys, when we talk about buying a house, like no money out of pocket, typically a lot of people are like, yeah, yeah, yeah. There's got to be some kind of money out of your pocket. Like there's always something, right? And that's the whole point of my topic here today, or one of the topics I'll touch on. The main one is you can really do it with $0 out of pocket. And I'll run into a baby quick case study to show you how I did that. But literally, no money from my bank account was drawn, not even for closing costs, not even for interest,
It's
none of it.
amazing. That's
Zero.
amazing. Rob Howdy, you're on Steve Anderson. What's your question?
Hey, Steve, how's it going?
What's up, Rob?
Hey, man, I had a couple questions. First, first off, man, you've been grinding since you've been like so young, which is just blows my mind.
Blows my mind too, dude.
Okay, with that, especially when you were 12 years old, dude. What were you doing?
I was a caterer. I got a catering job at 12.
Wow.
To go on top of that, the serious question, not to dive into creative finance specifically, because that's in my path, in my lane that I'm going to be educated by you guys, and I'm blessed to be part of the community. But the way you just been going and going and going ever since you've been so young till now, what's your mechanism, man? Because it seems that the minute you fall off, you're automatically already somebody somewhere else.
Yeah, 100%. Yep, yep.
So
Yeah.
how do you tell me what's your mechanism, if you don't mind? I mean, how do you like once you fall off, what's your recoup, boom, get go again?
How do you reload?
It gets easier the older I get. When I was that young, there was like I just got really lucky, like landing the catering job and landing all this other stuff. But then as soon as MCI ruined it for me because I was making so much money there as a young guy. That was a little harder to recoup. That's why I went the entrepreneurial route, because I had to, I can't be capped by hours, right? But it's, and a lot of people in here could probably resonate with this. When you're completely out of money and there's no one to call, right? Like you can't eat dinner tonight. You can't even go buy a taco, right? If you've ever felt that feeling and there's nobody to call, there's really no other option. All right. And I don't ever want to go back to that again. Not gonna do it, man. So that's most definitely the thought process on my mind on why I grind so hard. And now the older I get and the more cool people I get around, like you guys, I start understanding more and more, because I have a long way to go, right? I'll explain my business structure and what I'm currently doing to you guys here in a bit, but I have a long way to go. It's not about grinding hard, right? I shouldn't be grinding as hard as I am right now for how many years it's been. I got to think smarter, right? But the actual get back is just pure not wanting to be where I was ever again.
It's all I needed to hear. I mean, I'm just feeding off of your energy, man. It's pretty infectious there.
Oh, thanks, man. And granted, guys, don't, here's the cool part about all this stuff is that I don't have it figured out, right? I'm not a billionaire, right? There's still so many things that I'm learning and things that I'm doing and pivots that I've had to make, right? Like if I told you guys, with real estate investing, I've done all kinds of things. I've been a wholesaler. I've been a flipper. I've been a short-term rental guy. I've been a long-term rental guy. I've been I've been a transactional coordinator. For all of you nowadays, that's called a gator now, but it's transactional fucking lending, right?
There you
Sorry,
go.
not coordinator, transactional lending. I've done TC work for money, right? But I've niched down and pivoted so many times. Now I feel like I'm in a role that I really think we can excel in.
Great. Hey,
Mhm.
Rob, so you kind of let's get right to his telling us about buying creative with seller's assistance. Tell us, brother. Let's let it fly. Buying creatively with seller's assistance.
Yeah, yeah, no worries. So I guess that for me, and I'm going to try to say this the easiest way that I think I would want to hear it, because I believe that I'm not sure on the audience's, I'm not sure what you guys have experienced yet or what you've gone through, how advanced you are, how not advanced you are. So
I
I'm
would
going to
I
try.
would tend to say that the audience, for the most part, is sub two's grown so much in the last couple of years. There's so many more new people. We have people that are more on the newer spectrum. Not that we don't have people that are of experienced nature, we do, but just like anything else with the pyramid, there's a lot more newer people, and as we'll be going into YouTube, people are going to be curious about this. So I think more of the newbies than the seasoned veterans.
What's perfect, because that's how I usually cater to the newbies, and then the veterans, you can get a detail with me if you want. But number one, bullet point number one, how did I find this deal? Right? What is the deal and how did I find it? Okay. This is a single family property. It's a 3 bed, 2 bath, right in a thriving neighborhood in Charlotte. Okay, North Carolina. Okay. It is inside of a neighborhood that I analyzed properly. So I looked at what was selling over there, what's been sold, what's been sold, what's for sale over there, and did my research, right? It's a good location. It's growing, it's growing too. Anyways, how did I find the deal? Well, my very first seller finance deal that I purchased came from a direct to seller lead, which is where I was in a garage with an Excel sheet and a Google Voice number. Okay, one by one. Called the person, finally got her on the horn, got her to talk with me for a little while, bought her house seller finance. This one is in Indianapolis, right? Fast forward, this woman is now officially one of our largest private money lenders who holds almost $1.5 million with me currently
Wow.
to date, and has sold me about five of her properties, all through creative finance. Okay, this all came from one Excel sheet, phone dial in my garage. Now, how long and how many calls did it take me to get there? A freaking lot. It was not fun,
Yeah.
right? Anyways, I found the lead through her because she's like, dude, she's a techie. She makes a lot of money in tech. She has no business owning single family properties, right? So she wants to get rid of them. She's like, I just don't even want to deal with this anymore. So I said, okay, what do you want to do? So we structured the terms, all right? And the terms, everybody, for who aren't aware, are whatever you want them to be. As long as they work for you and they work for the seller, rock on.
Mhm. Mhm.
So what worked for her? Well, she just wanted to hit a certain number. She doesn't give a shit if I give her money down or if there's interest. She doesn't care. She just wants return on investment. So I told her, listen, I'll pay you X amount for this property, but it's zero down, 0% interest. Okay. My earnest money down, which is my security deposit you put down right when you open up escrow, right when you're about to buy a house, your good faith money was $100. Okay. Go through escrow. And I'm starting to look at the numbers and I'm like, man, North Carolina's awesome. The closing costs are super cheap. This house doesn't need that much work done. I was like, man, but I don't want to spend $6,000 right now. Just don't want to do it. So I ended up saying, you know what? Hey, Mrs. Seller, which is my Mrs. Lender, seller friend, whatever she is now.
Mhm.
And I said, hey, um, I got to come up with $6,000 of closing costs. It looks like you're going to pay about $1,200 in taxes. Do you want to pay that $1,200 in taxes? She's like, no. I go, well, what if I found a way for you not to pay your $200 in taxes? What if I pay it for you? She's like, well, tell me more, right? Who does? Yeah. So I said, you know what? I need about $6,000. why don't you lend me $6,000? And actually, I needed $5,000, but I had to lend me six because at 6,000 with a certain percentage of interest rate is like $1,000. I calculated to be her taxes, how much she had on taxes. So I had her lend me roughly $6,000. I turned around and gave her 1,200 to pay her taxes at closing, and then I took the rest of that and closed on the property and put in a few $1,000s for like a new fridge and stuff at the house. Okay. So it worked for her because she didn't have to pay for her taxes out of pocket. She just made interest on her money to pay for those taxes. So she's technically $0 out of pocket too. And then she was able to do me the lend for me to buy the property. Literally $0 out of pocket. Okay. I close on the property and then we'll talk about that story in a second.
All right, Mario, you on with Steve? What's your question?
How do you do your research on these properties? That's been one of my things.
Great question, especially being virtual, right?
Right.
Super scary.
Right.
So when I first got into doing stuff virtually, we had to pick markets that, number one, we know we can kick people out of, right? Here in Cali, 6 months minimum to kick somebody out. And if they know how to play the game, it's longer than that. Right?
Yeah.
They know how to play the game. If they're getting that government assistant lawyer that knows to drag out those 10-day notices here, it could be longer. So number one, is it a market that we want to be in the sense of, can we kick them out? Do we have landlord rights? Number two, understanding what is up with the area. I will simply just go on Google and understand what the appreciation is in the city that I'm going to. So appreciation rates, right? Is this thing appreciating fast enough to make sense for me, right? Number three, comps, comparables, guys. I go on and I look at these properties that are selling around there, that have sold and that are currently selling. Okay, I use a list of appraiser rules. Now, you guys, it's 2025. You can go on Google and type in, actually, you know who's really good at this? Jamil Damji.
Yeah.
Right? So he'll give you he has one right now you probably find for quick appraisal rules on how to comp. For example, if I'm comparing my house to another one down the street, my house is 1960, let's say. Well, guess what? I can't compare that to a house that was built in the year 2000. Can't do it. No one's going to look at you seriously. Okay. Or, hey, what about size? Well, hey, this house looks like it's the same exact size. Well, no, it doesn't. It's an extra 1,000 square foot more or bigger than mine, or vice versa, right? Or, hey, this house looks like it's all the same, but it's a 2-story. Mine's a 1-story. Guess what? No go, right? So I'll do my comparables, understand what that property would actually sell for, what I think it would sell for, okay? And I'll try to do that like, hey, what it'll sell for now versus what it'll sell for fixed up. And then I'll look for what's for sale around there, what's happening in the neighborhood. In this one in specific, guess what? There's developers all in that area, and they're all building duplexes and all brand new stuff. Mine is the oldest house on the street, so guess what? One of these times, somebody's going to come hunt me down because they don't want my shitty house in that block anymore. They want to build, right? So anyways, comparables, right? And then also economic pulse, right? So what's around the area? Is there a Starbucks? Is there a CVS? Or am I right next to Family Dollar Store, right? Is there developers in the area? Or is there, I'll do a quick Google Street View. Is there crackheads everywhere, right? Stuff like that. So then I'll look into the property in that sense. And then also too, I usually always do an inspection report before I buy houses. So I'll get an inspection report on the property. It'll tell me everything is wrong with it, right? Depending on the state that you're in Cali, you're probably about $750 to $1,000, depending on the size of the house. In North Carolina, it cost me like $300. Yeah, so that's like basically what I'll do to like look at the property and be like, okay, is this something I want? And then also from a creative perspective, cash flow, guys. If this thing doesn't cash flow, I'm out. Or I'm gone. But did that answer your question?
Yeah, that did. Is that so? You doing your research before you talk to the seller, or you're already made contact?
Yeah, I never waste time, right? Because we could all analyze properties until we're blue in the face,
right?
And not make any money off it. So until I know that it's going to be an option, like it's a reality, like this could happen,
Right.
then I'll deep dive, or else, you could just end up knocking doors, or not knocking doors, but walking properties for your life and not get paid for it.
Right.
Yeah.
And the other question I had is, how do you get your leads? Because you said direct to seller that you go into, right?
No more. I stopped direct to seller. But also, guys, my business model is different now,
Well,
right? I don't do direct to seller. I I actually hate it.
yeah,
I did it for so many years, and it just didn't fit my lifestyle. Yeah. So like
constantly on the phone.
yeah, constantly, dude. Like you're always on the phone. My wife hated it. My daughter hated it. Everybody hated it. I hated it.
Yeah.
Um, but anyways, if I want to go hunt for another property these days, I'll either go talk to my lenders, I'll go talk to the property manager, the broker, or mortgage brokers that I know now, or I'll search in Sub2. Yeah, I'll just go in Sub2 and be like, type in a state and a city I want, and then start talking.
Awesome.
Hmm.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, no sweat.
Mario,
And then
thank you, Mario. Good to see you. You're on with Steve Anderson. What's your question?
How's California for doing direct to seller, foreclosures? I mean, I'm sure that's a whole nother conversation.
it's not. I guess it's you can. That's a great question, right?
Okay.
Depends what you're doing.
Yeah.
It depends on your exit strategy, right? So like, if you're talking about long-term rentals, you're gonna have a real hard time over here.
Like wholesaling, pre-foreclosures.
If you find out if you can unlock the code,
Yeah.
the grinding code of wholesaling here in Cali,
Hmm.
you'll kill it.
Okay.
If your systems are not tight, if your data rotations are off, if your number and system rotations are viabilities are off, if you do not answer the phone, if anything is off, you're gonna have a real hard time being a wholesaler in general.
Hmm.
But here in Cali, if you dedicate your life to it,
Oh.
you can do some good over here. There's a lot of even like flippers here, and I
Hmm.
can only talk for San Diego right now. I did wholesaling in Southern California too,
Okay.
but specifically just San Diego. Um, there's flippers out here that will pay more than what you think they'll pay.
Hmm.
100%. I mean, I went through, when I stopped wholesaling and stopped doing direct to seller stuff, I was getting outbid left and right by these guys. I'm like, how the hell are they paying this? They're losing money. They're
Hmm.
losing money. Those numbers do not make sense. The ARV's off.
Hmm.
That does not make sense, right? Well, guess what? The buyer pool demographic in San Diego is different. There's people out there that will take on jobs and only make maybe 10,000 bucks
Hmm.
because they want to keep their crews busy,
That's
right?
great.
There's a lot of 1031 buyers out here that will just outbid you because they don't want to pay taxes.
Hmm.
Like if you do wholesaling right out here, you can kill it. Pre-foreclosure and foreclosures, you can also kill it.
Can you?
But depending on exactly where you're at, though, it's going to be a little bit harder because, pre-foreclosures in San Diego, it's a higher price point, higher arrears point. And
Okay.
and for everybody, arrears is like back pay, right?
Hmm.
So like you go find a foreclosure down here, it's not uncommon to be like, yeah, they're 200K in arrears. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, then you got to find 200K real quick. Um, anyways. I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, that did. And I'll reach out to you if I have more questions.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
whatever you need.
Perfect. Well, thank you. Thank you for your time. Thanks, JJ.
Thank you, Beth. Paula Grant, you're armed with Steve Anderson. What's your
Oh,
question?
hi everyone. Hi, Steve. Hi, JJ. It was nice seeing you over the weekend. So I have a quick question. I heard you mention Charlotte. I'm not sure how long ago you did that deal, but I'm in Raleigh. And as you know, the Charlotte and Raleigh market, they're really saturated right now.
Yeah.
How would you navigate these markets? Because I also say I do outside nationwide because of all the activity here in Raleigh and Charlotte. But how do you navigate a saturated market like that and find those diamonds in the rough?
So, question for you. When you say
Mhm.
navigate, do you mean from a marketing
Seller
perspective?
finance. No, from a seller finance. If you're looking for that really good seller finance deal in a market like this, where you know you're dealing with all kinds of like heavyweights.
I mean, saturated or not. Well, okay,
Mhm.
so just to make sure that I'm answering you correctly, right?
Right.
You mean like how do you navigate against your competition?
Yeah, I mean, I'm here like trying to find a really good seller finance deal, but the market is saturating. You're looking at your hedge funds, you're looking at your big time investors. Like, how does someone like me just get on my deal machine or deal sauce and find those hidden gems in an area like Charlotte and Raleigh where there's so much activity happening?
You go direct and you go quick.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
because just like in San Diego market is very competitive.
Right,
I mean,
right.
oh my God, it is insane. And the
Like,
price points
yeah.
are better or are higher. You got to, I think you have to go, I think you have to go direct, you have to go niche, and you got to be quicker
Yeah.
than everybody else.
Right, right, right.
You
I
got to be
mean,
the honest Abe out in those places from my experience.
yeah.
Be the honest person. Let them know
Hmm.
what moves. Because when you have like, for example, if you have like larger wholesalers out there, they're still
Hmm.
doing the same old shit. They're not
Right.
telling people what they're actually doing. They're switching baiting them. They're getting them
Yeah.
locked up under contract, going to walk it, and then saying, "Oh no, I'm gonna need," towards the end of their escrow period. "Oh no, I'm gonna
Mhm.
need $30,000 less." And
Yeah.
most people just get down into submission. Also, guys, don't forget that in a lot of these different states, it's way more difficult to navigate because you can have memorandums on file.
Hmm.
Guys, memorandums are awesome. I've used them. I've gotten paid from them from the right people that were dirtbags to me. But the reality is that there's a lot of dirtbags out there that know how to use them too. And they will
Hmm.
essentially cloud the title for all you newbies here. They'll cloud
Yeah.
the title, which is basically where, hey, I go to sell my house. And guess what? They say, who's this guy, Steve Anderson? He has a
Mhm.
memorandum. He's clouding your title. What does that mean? Well, this guy, Steve Anderson, needs to get paid before you can sell your house, right?
Yeah.
Clouds the title, makes it non-sellable until I'm a roadblock at that point. So, for example, you start going over these deals and you forget to ask your seller about the specifics of what they've been doing before you, right? And who
Hmm.
they've talked to. Next thing you know, you get into escrow, you think everything's all good, and then they do a title report, and then there's a memorandum. Then you got to
Yeah.
talk to who that person is to try to get actual release. And guys, it gets freaking muddied out there.
Crazy.
They're going
Yeah.
to
No,
ruin
for
it for all
sure.
of us, right? But yeah, you got to be quick. Go niche,
Yeah.
go direct is the probably the best advice I would give for
Hmm.
somebody that's in an aggressive market against their competition.
Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, like in my neighborhood, quickly, if you don't mind, JJ, quickly in my, like you see a whole bunch of new builds, but then you see these onesie, twosie of old homes, and you're wondering, why is it that no one has approached them yet? And like my neighborhood, I will drive past these older homes. 90% of homes are new build, but these homes are just sitting there still. And I'm like, oh, I'm saying to myself, I'm not going to approach them because I'm sure someone else already did. Do you recommend a door knocking at that stage? Because I'm
That thought
thinking
process,
everyone,
get
yes,
get rid of that because
yeah,
chances are people have tried to approach them and either A,
yeah,
somebody got a hold of them and they're psychotic
hmm,
or they're just
yeah,
not selling, or B, no one's been able to get a hold of them yet.
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
you got
yes,
to get rid of that. That mentality's got to go.
right.
Because those houses, if you do see those obvious diamonds in the rough,
Yes, we have a lot
um,
of those.
you got to go direct. That's what I mean by
Okay.
going direct. Right?
Yes, yes, I got
They're
you.
not picking
Yeah.
up the phone. Chances are, and just like with if you guys are playing in foreclosures, because I've done a lot of
Hmm.
foreclosures, a lot. And guess what? Those people in foreclosure, guess what they don't do? A lot of them don't answer the phone to numbers they don't know
Hmm.
because
Correct.
there's
Yeah.
people calling them every day. Or the chances, and that's why it's so hard to cold call foreclosures. You got to
Yeah.
get over there, leave a note, drop by or drop by and notice. What you can do too is you start.
Hmm.
This is a lot because you're a lady too. I don't suggest it for most guys, but at
Yeah.
nighttime, cruise around a bit, right?
Okay.
See if the lights are even on,
Hmm.
stuff like that. Because then you can start
Yeah.
seeing also, a lot of these older neighborhoods too. You got a lot of people just squatting, right? Also, look
Yeah.
up, if you're really that serious into that property,
Hmm.
look up the record real quick and say, hey, this house looks like nobody lives there right now. It looks like the city bought it, but why is there
Yeah.
lights on at night?
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, good stuff. No, I appreciate that. Good stuff. I'll
yeah, no
definitely be
worries.
stopping
Yeah.
by.
Yeah,
All right.
stop on
Thank
by.
you. Thank you, JJ.
It'd be like
Oh,
a
thank
rush
you.
trip. when you knock on that door, it's gonna be like, oh,
I know I'll probably have to get my husband to go with me because I'm
Yeah,
like, yeah,
totally.
at
Oh yeah,
nighttime. Yeah.
you're not going to want to go out at night by yourself. Paula,
Yeah, no, for
very good to
sure.
see you at Squad Up. Thank you for joining the
Yes,
call
same
today.
here. Same here.
Steve, we have a call coming in from Mike Connors out of Texas. Mike, what's your question?
Hey Steve, how you doing?
Hey, what's up, Mike? I'm doing good. What part of Texas are you in?
Abilene?
Abilene? Oh, okay. I don't know
Yes.
where. I know Houston very well.
Okay. Yeah, I'm west of Dallas, about 3 hours. So
Okay, for sure. I'm doing fine, man. How are you doing?
good, good. Hey, I was wondering what your most challenging real estate strategy was.
Strategy wise, I'd say a wrap.
Okay.
Like an actual wrap. Now in theory, wraps are easy, but the scenarios that are a part of them involve multiple lives. And if and there's a lot of things that could go wrong, which went wrong with me, right? Um, I'd say a wrap. And for anybody that doesn't know what a wrap is, the best way that I've been explained and now how I relate to people is like, let's say I got this house, and this actually happened. So, say I got this house, I found the seller, and he wants to sell, but nobody can buy the place, right? It's too run down. He wants a price that doesn't make sense, or even if you dropped his price, it still can't sell because nobody wants to live there. I can create a structured set of terms with him, right? Get a contract going with this guy. So group party number A. And then I can wrap it up like a present and I could give it to somebody else for some money, right? I can wrap it into a present and give it to somebody else. So I pretty much took this deal, I inflated the numbers a bit. So he wanted me, let's say he had a mortgage on the place, which he did, right? That was at 5%. I sold it to somebody else for 8%, right? And then I bought it for $500 here. I sold it for 1,500 here. Okay. So I basically just inflated the numbers, made my profit, and sold it to somebody else who is going to actually live there that would buy the house. This guy could not get rid of the house otherwise, right? But during that transaction, there were so many different little nuances that came along with it, even at the closing table. Even at the closing table, this guy's ex-wife showed up and was like, "Hey, you're only making $5,000. What are you doing?" I'm like, "Hey guys, I don't have time for this. You gonna do it or not?" Right? It came to the point where we're going back and forth. I was like, I'm helping you. This is not, I don't even need this stress. I'm about to walk. Right. So closing table was horrible. Finding the actual buyer to move in there was a nightmare. Learned about that and how to find wrap buyers. Yeah, I think a wrap for sure was the most complicated one, but to this day, I'm still cash flowing on. So it
Okay.
was,
Thanks, sir.
oh
When
yeah.
you did transactional lending, which that's what I'm doing now,
Mhm.
what was the most effective ways that you found wholesalers and buyers?
Dude, for me, it was through my network and through social media, but I don't think for you guys it's that easy anymore. And granted, right, it's not like I was doing that as a primary business, right? That this whole wave of gator lenders out there, I mean, I swear to God, if somebody doesn't already have a bot watching all social media posts to where if somebody says lend or EMD or something of that nature, I would be very surprised. You guys have it very, very hard. I mean, I think even the number wise, when I was doing it, I probably would have to talk to like my numbers are horrible. I think I'd probably have to talk to maybe like 60, 70 people before I even got one to five lens, but it wasn't my primary business, so I can't, tell you too much about it. But that's how I used to find the people.
Okay. Well, thanks, sir. Appreciate your time.
Oh, 100%.
Thanks, JJ.
Thank you, Mike. So we got a couple great questions coming in here. I wanted to ask you about the memorandum.
Yo, yeah.
So that's basically a lien, right?
I mean, my nerdy side's gonna tell you no, right? But that's basically what it is, bro.
There's some kind of a snag there on the title, basically.
Yeah, that's all it is. It clouds the title. It doesn't allow you to move past that memorandum.
Okay. Great. Now, I know our topic today is buying creatively with seller's assistance. Is there anything you wanted to share on that regard? Did you have some sort of a um, example transaction that you wanted to cover, or
I mean that I've done this. I've done this a handful of times already, right? That last one was probably the best, one of the best examples.
okay,
Um, and it goes almost the same way every time, where I essentially just get an estimate back with what is going to be due at closing, and then I approach the seller and just ask them, "Hey, do you got an extra X amount of thousand that you want to lend for this amount?" And then they take care of it. Now, the only thing I can say is that whenever you guys are negotiating these things, there's another saying that I collected from the group. It's like you don't paint birds in a picture that don't need to be there, right? So I never talk about interest, guys. Actually, all the properties that we've ever purchased are all 0% interest.
that's great.
Yeah. And then down payment wise, I don't ever bring it up unless I know that they're going to need it. Because I'm not a jerk, right? For me, like when I'm dealing with these sellers, and I sorry, it's not because I'm not a jerk. It's because I know these sellers' situation well enough to where I know if they're going to need help or not. Have I taken down properties before and done zero down, knowing that those people need money? Yes, I have. But nowadays, there's no need. If they actually do need money, I'm not going to try to snake them out of any of that stuff. But if they hit a certain parameter that makes sense to my numbers, I will give them a down payment, but I never bring it up.
Okay,
Mhm.
sounds fair enough. Yeah, why get into that? Open a can of worms that you might not need to even have to venture into.
You
Uh,
just don't. You
yeah,
just don't.
makes
Right? And if
perfect
somebody's
sense.
well off, right? Somebody's going through good pain. Like if somebody's going through good pain, they're not going to need the down payment money.
Yeah,
They'll tell you like, "Oh, hey, I need this extra money to go buy my daughter something for her college or something." Like
yeah,
that's good pain. If you're dealing with foreclosures and stuff like that, a lot of these people are going to need some cash to move out of the place.
yeah.
Yeah.
We got two last questions. We bring these guys on.
Yep.
Rob Howdigy, don't ask how, ask Howdigy. Rob, you're on with Steve. What's your question?
Thanks, JJ. Hey, two quick questions, Steve.
Mhm.
Back to clouding the title.
Yep.
That's use that to a benefit to us, to you as an investor, correct?
Yep.
But can that be used against us as well? Meaning kind of like how people play with your identity?
Yeah. Totally can. Yeah. So like I was saying, like as an investor from an investor standpoint, you go to buy a property and you think everything's all good. You get into escrow and or sometimes you don't even find out when title report comes out. Sometimes for some reason if the title company's not doing it right, you find out later. But it can prevent you from buying the property you want to buy, right? If you
Wow.
have
I
a
mean,
memorandum on that property, like for example, I was going through it was a long time ago, it was a wholesale deal. It would have been an amazing deal. However, um, the lady had told me that she'd been talking with people before, but never said she signed anything. We got her signed up. We went in, we found buyers, we're ready to close. And next thing you know, a memorandum pops up. And I called, so you have to confront those people, right? You have to take the responsibility to call those people that filed that memorandum and try to negotiate with them to get them to drop it. Now, a lot of the times it's a skis bag, dirt bag, somebody who's not going to deal with you, or they want to take all your assignment fee, right? So you have to negotiate with them and try to get them to stop doing what they're doing to drop everything, so that way you can buy the property. But some people won't budge. Like this guy put a memorandum on this lady who couldn't even pay her hospital bills, right? And he was like, "Nope, I'm taking him to foreclosure. I'm taking him to foreclosure." Like this guy's a special spot in hell for this dude. But yeah, it can hurt you either way, but it can be for your benefit if you know somebody's playing around with you and you need to file a memorandum to protect your interest in the property.
yeah, it just sounds crazy that anybody could do that without like justification to why.
Yeah. Well, it's just like so that's why JJ was asking earlier, is it like a lien? No, well, no, technically, because in the grand scheme of things with the lien, let's talk about a mechanics lien in California. If you file a mechanics lien here, you can get that done, you can pay, you can go down and get it filed, but you're only going to stop somebody for 90 days unless you have justifiable reason to back that up. And you have to go back and you have to tell them, hey, here's why I have a lien, blah, blah, blah. And then it finally goes through its process to solidify on the property. Now with a memorandum, you don't need to do that. You just go get it recorded, right? And you have to record it correctly. So for example, guys, if you're using the wrong pen color in some counties, they won't accept it. Okay. But if you have the right documentation there and you file it correctly, yeah, you can just go file a memorandum on that stuff on a lot of properties.
So, the last question, getting back to going through the eyes of say Steve Anderson, looking at foreclosures, you mentioned so many things, so many variables to look at. Do you have like a little cheat code card that just as a reminder, as a newbie to get out there? It has you just have to go about your day and what you're looking at.
I don't. I don't. A lot of the times when we navigated through foreclosures is things that we learned on the fly, right? But right now you're in sub two, there's so many different great things you can search on Facebook. I mean, I think Caroline Kane's like a foreclosure madwoman. So they would be the ones that have those lists for you. I don't have any cheat sheets or anything like that. But I do
Just a
mentally.
mindset, more so. Yeah.
Oh yeah, mentally, yeah, for sure. Yeah, mentally 100%. You gotta, number one is you gotta figure out if that deal's even gonna be worth your time, right? Some people are never meant to sell. Some people aren't selling. Some people are going through a different stage in what they feel for their foreclosure. Some people don't know certain things. Some people can't even, if you get in there and you figure out, you're trying to fight for this deal for like, a couple weeks and you don't even know how much in back pay there is. You haven't even seen a mortgage statement yet, right? A lot of these things can prevent you from moving forward and spin your wheels. You can spin your wheels on foreclosures a lot, man, and waste your time. So,
Absolutely. I understand. Got to find the pain and go from there. But I appreciate your time, and I look forward to getting together with you guys.
yeah, no sweat, man. Appreciate you, dude.
And we have Mario. Mario, you are on with Steve.
What I'm doing right now is direct to agent with Prop AI.
Love it.
What I've my goal in 5 years to have 1,000 doors.
Mhm.
So what would be the strategy you would suggest to go get there at this point?
Is your goal to just do single family properties?
No, I want to get into multifamily, larger units.
Okay. That's more of an opinion thing for me than anything, right? Like
Yeah.
there's so many people out there that can own 1 million, single family houses.
Right.
But just to give you guys an insight on what I'm doing is I'm getting rid of that.
Right.
Right. I'm selling off we are selling off our single family portfolio because I'd rather, if I'm going to own doors like that, I'd rather have it be commercial. Number one's the money, right? It's okay. And granted, I'm not saying this is like you're not doing this, but for the mass here, for everybody who's listening, it's okay to have these conversations about money before you have the deal. A lot of people, myself included, at one point in time, thought that we couldn't have these conversations about people lending me money unless I had a deal ready to go, right? That doesn't make sense. And it took me a long time to figure that out. Go find the money first, right? Go find, and depending on your market, go start talking. You're a direct agent. So go talk to those brokers that actually have track record and let them know what you're doing. Hey, I'm like, for me, I'm not buying multifamily commercial property straight up, bro. If there's no creative finance involved, don't bring that to my table. I don't want to waste your time. You don't want to waste mine. So, number one, go find the money continuously during this whole process. Number two, talk to your brokers and let them know what you're doing. I want to buy properties through creative finance. And the more that I've talked to commercial people, talking about creative finance or seller finance is so much more common than with single family. And then I would create that roadmap first. So I'd say, okay, I know I'm going to go buy a 50 unit complex in Tennessee. All right, what part of Tennessee? Okay, who are the hitters in Tennessee? Right? How much money realistically am I going to need? What kind of cap rates do I need to be at? What's normal for that area? And guys, for any of you that are a lot newer, it's okay. I know a lot of stuff I'm saying doesn't make sense. But cap rate is going to be how they justify what your property is going to be worth, essentially. Okay. But money, brokers, and then money, area, brokers, and then understand your roadmap on your execution. Because once you start actually really making calls, once you like 100% hunker down, do 2, 3 hours of calling a day, shit, something will happen. Something will happen. So did that answer your question?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. The owners list, owners club list, was that ever released? Because Pace said it was going to be released before Spot Up, but I never saw it.
I have no idea because I didn't join the owners club.
Oh, you didn't? Yeah,
No,
a lot
no,
of
I didn't.
people.
Actually, by the time I figured out what that was, I was like, well, what the fuck is that? I want to be a part
Yeah,
of it, you know?
yeah. It seems like a lot of work actually. Once you join in, they got a lot of homework for you.
Depends what you're looking for, guys. And
Right,
remember that this can segue into what we did, niching down.
right.
I did a lot of things, guys, and I'm still doing a lot of things, but I niched down to what it is that we want to do. So I own a construction company now with my partners here in San Diego, right? So I usually say the same thing to everybody. And if you're more advanced, you already know this. But if you are brand new, there are two types of money in this world, guys. And this has nothing to do with real estate either, okay? There are two types of money in this world. There's fast money and there's slow money. Which one do you not have right now is the only one you need to be thinking about. If you don't have fast money, guess what? Do not go buy a fucking single family house. Don't do it, man. I've fallen into that trap for you guys. I can tell you why it's not okay, right? So pick your fast money, your slow money, and then niche down to what you see from there. That will help you guys significantly not fall into some traps that you're inevitably going to fall into like the rest of us.
Now you're doing business in California at all, or are you?
We're all California. We're all San Diego now. So, that's what I was saying is we own a construction company here now too.
Yeah.
So if anybody needs ADUs built, you guys need any remodeling done, kitchens, bathrooms, full remodels, doesn't matter. We can do it, but we're only here in San Diego.
Okay.
And if you guys bring us construction jobs, I will pay you a referral fee.
Well, I just wanted to thank Steve for being very clear, concise, being very educational, presenting a positive step forward. I like what you said. Seller financing honestly has been a little bit possibly scary for me, but I really liked how you acknowledged the need versus the want in providing finances for people that are trying to sell their house. You talked a lot about the game of money and, wanting to have a dress for your daughter versus needing to have a roof over your head. I just really liked what you presented about that. And I'm very thankful that you've come into leadership at the sub two, groups coming in with your wisdom, your knowledge. I like what you had to say about the passive investing versus active investing, and that there's a place for each thing and there's a time for each thing, but that we need to be careful how we handle that so that we're being responsible with that. And I just wanted to say thank you.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think that
Thank you for saying that. That's all. It makes me feel great. I just want to make sure I'm bringing what I need to for you guys. And if
right.
I didn't, gotta let me know.
Killed
Right.
it.
And I think like for me, like it was pretty clear you were talking about like wrapping a gift and making sure that you wrap the house and like getting it over to someone else, so it kind of sounds a little bit like you're wrapping and wholesaling all at the same time and how you're handling that. And I think that I really appreciate the comment that you made where you said, some of you may not quite understand where this is at yet. And I think that I've been in this since 2023. So I'm not ready to put my finger on that button yet, but I really like the clear, concise information you brought.
Thank you very much. That means the world to me. Even if you're the only one that got something or appreciated it, that's more than enough for me. That's so cool. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, brother, you unleashed a ton of knowledge here and value. I can see the pens going back and forth on the top of the screen there. Um, I just want to thank you so much for coming on today. Creative finance is one of the huge topics these days, and we haven't had enough introduction to it. So I sincerely appreciate you for coming on and giving your insight and sharing your experience. And I think it's been a great call.
No, I really appreciate it, man. I hope that I brought value. If everybody here got something from this, that's all that I want.
Well, I've got two last questions for you.
Yes.
One question is for those that want to get a hold of you, watching on YouTube weeks and months down the line, what is the best way for people to reach out to you? Would it be your MySpace page or TikTok? Or what, do you have Instagram? Is it
Yeah.
a website, Facebook, Calendly link? What's the best way to reach you?
I think the best way right now is IG. So if everyone gives me gives me a follow, then shoots me a message just because I get lost in the messages that because that little inbox that like holds messages for people that aren't your friends, I will like forget about it. But hit me up on IG. My IG is I'm Steve Anderson, and it's I am like I the letter M Steve Anderson. You'll see me and my family on there.
If you guys are on the call right now, please message Steve on Instagram to say hello. Let him know that we're following him. He's got some great content here. My last question to you, my friend, is I have a networking group and I talk all the time about the importance of networking and leveraging social media. Uh, in addition to Sub 2, there's so many different real estate education programs on the landscape today, and each of
Mhm.
them have investors coming every single week, brand new to investment and many with decades of experience, but they're coming to these education programs sometimes for the first time looking to utilize, a Facebook group, a Facebook community, and they can message one another. What is the importance of using social media to network and build relationships for the investor today?
More than I know. Because the reality I think of where most people are, and you guys are probably in the same boat as me, maybe, is that we get so busy that we justify not doing it. And it's so important. Most of the relationships and things that we've gotten from social media, whenever I do try, is amazing. And I don't fully grasp the capabilities of what we need. So I don't think I would be the best to answer that question, but I do know it's super important. Like I said, every time I've actually tried, things have come from it. So imagine if I was consistent. I mean, because right now, guys, right, we're looking for construction jobs, right? So that's my fast money, guys. So if I put a more media out there, more presence, people don't know to ask you, or they don't know what you're doing. They don't know to bring you the business.
Hmm.
Right. So for me, that's where it's really hurting me not doing it is by being better at social media like JJ, to make sure that I can bring in more jobs to feed my family.
So, as I like to say, if you're not visible, you're invisible.
100%.
And when you're invisible, opportunity walks right past us. And guys, to get to know people like Steve, you need to be visible because they're only going to see those. I like to say in social media, 90% of the people in these education groups are not visible on social media. They're doing the curriculum, the training, the Zooms, the YouTubes, all that stuff, but they're not leveraging social media to be visible. If you implement a couple basic tweaks in how you leverage Facebook, and I say Facebook because all the education communities have a Facebook page for their membership. So it's important to leverage Facebook in particular if you want to what I call squeeze the juice from the orange, and that's find the valuable people in the community.
For sure.
Steve, I want to
100%.
thank you so much. If you guys are watching on YouTube right now, please like Steve's video in the comment section. Please put what your takeaways were, what you found most informative. Um, and again, if you want to get a hold of Steve, it is going to be on his Instagram, and his Instagram is again, I am Steve Anderson. And please feel free to message him. That's his preferred way for you guys to reach him. If you want to connect with me, join my networking group. Scan the turquoise QR code here. If you want to see the videos we have on our YouTube channel with the other great speakers, not as great as Steve, but they're all close, is to scan this purple QR code here. and you can subscribe for my YouTube channel, Flipside with JJ. If you guys are on the call right now, don't go away. We're gonna have a couple more minutes to chat with Steve and see for everybody else. We'll see them out there in the land of virtual networking, right?
Yeah,
Facebook,
you guys give me
Instagram.
a holler anytime. We're super transparent. And if you guys have any questions about any of this stuff, yeah, just let me know anytime.
Thanks a lot, man.
Thanks,
Okay,
Steve.
100%,
Guys,
guys.
thanks for watching, people. Thank you.